Hello, my little sparklings. I just saw the new Transformers movie, Rise of the Beasts, Monday night at a special advanced screening put on by Paramount themselves. There were some free posters, the easiest, shortest trivia contest known to man, and they didn't have me sign an NDA, so let's talk about the film. I'm going to start off with the non-spoiler stuff first, and then we'll start into the spoilers later. So don't worry, I'll let you know when the spoilers start so you can bail out of the video. But hopefully you stick around till the end. And with that, let's begin. So Mirage had a big role in this movie. He definitely seemed to have more screen time and more to do in the movie than Bumblebee. He may even have more screen time than Optimus Prime. B had a much smaller role in this movie than I expected, but I do like how Prime and him interacted. They really felt like a father and son, and gave me vibes of G1 Optimus and B. Speaking of robots, I thought everyone did an excellent job voicing their characters. Peter Cullen's Optimus did feel a little different, but I liked the journey that he went through in this movie. I absolutely loved Prime and Primal's interactions in the movie. I wish we had more of it, but every time they were on screen together, it was just pure gold. It is a shame that they didn't get Gary Chalk, but I get it. It would have been a billion hoops to jump through just to get him into this movie. What with Gary being in a different actors union and stuff like that. It just wouldn't have been viable for this movie with this kind of budget. I adored Michelle Yeoh as Airazor, but it was kind of weird how her bird beak would transform whenever she talked. I assumed to make it more expressive and realistic, but it just looked weird to me. As per usual, the human stuff was pretty boring, especially the stuff at the beginning, but there was some cool parts with them, and Anthony Ramos and Dominique Fishback did a great job with their characters. I just wish they'd stop putting weird, cringy, tertiary characters in these movies that really serve no purpose, don't even act like how real people would act, and are just there to be annoying. There's a couple characters in this movie that are like that, and you completely forget about them as soon as they leave the screen. I did like how they made some 90s references, as well as references to other Transformers movies. There's one that I thought was really sweet, and another that was pretty funny. But you'd only get them if you've seen the other Transformers movies. Overall, I enjoyed this movie, and I don't think it's as good as the Bumblebee movie, which, in my opinion, is the best live-action Transformers movie to date, but it's definitely better than The Last Knight and most of the other Michael Bay films. There's a lot in this movie that's good, but there are things that feel weird or out of place, like they were mandated by some studio exec or something like that, and they just stick out like odd shoehorned-in bits. For example, Optimus Prime says that he's going to kill Scourge, rather than just defeat Scourge, which felt very awkward.
We will kill them all.
It was more in line with the Bay film's Optimus Prime, rather than this more G1 feeling Optimus. That's it for the non-spoilers. This is where we start getting into the spoilery stuff. Now's your chance to hop out. Or, you know, you could just mute the video and play it in the background so that I can get those precious viewer retention numbers for the algorithm. But if you do decide to peace out here, I hope you at least come back and finish watching the video after you've seen the movie. Okay, is that enough time? Alright, on to the spoilers! So, if you watch the trailers, you can basically guess the plot of the movie. Noah tries to steal a car that turns out to be Mirage. Meanwhile, Elena finds the other half of the Transwarp key. The Terrorcons show up to steal it. The Autobots fight them. B is killed. They go to Peru with Airazor to get the other half. They meet the other Maximals. The Terrorcons end up getting the other half of the key anyways. They start up the Transwarp key. Unicron starts coming to Earth. They all learn to fight together. They beat the bad guys, and Noah joins G.I. Joe. I think that sums it up pretty quickly. So, trying to go in chronological order, Ape Link as the previous leader of the Maximals. That was an odd choice. I'm guessing they only went with him because he's basically a reskin of Optimus Primal. So it was easier to create a model for him rather than, say, Dinobot or Depth Charge, or even Lio Convoy or Big Convoy. Also, did anyone else think that he and Primal were about to kiss? I kept expecting them to say that they were brothers or something because they seemed really close. And then they had their farewell, almost kiss head boop thing? Were Ape Link and Primal boyfriends? I'm not sure, but I'm guessing the fandom will ship them as such. I was disappointed that they really didn't explain where the Maximals came from. They said that they were from the Autobots' past and future, and they never identified the planet that they came from, which Unicron ate. Maybe it was Eucharis? Then again, they referred to Optimus Prime as a legendary warrior, which feels very much like the cartoon.
He's our ancestor, we gotta get him repaired!
They even say Optimus Primal was named after Optimus Prime. I'm guessing they're pulling inspiration from both, but being intentionally vague so that they don't have to go into a deep dive explanation about their backstory and how they relate to the Autobots.
Are you really my ancestor, Optimus Prime? Yes and no.
I was really sad when Airazor died. It was interesting how Scourge corrupted her. That's not a power we've seen before from Scourge or Nemesis Prime, or really any other Transformer that I can think of. It kind of reminded me of Armada Airazor and her being a herald of Unicron. Maybe that's what inspired it? But it was just heartbreaking, especially watching how she died. Speaking of Airazor though, it seemed like the Maximals split into two teams to guard the two halves of the key after landing on Earth. And it sounded like Airazor had her own team, but they all died out somehow. How did they die, and who was on her team? We never learn, but I think Tigatron would be an obvious choice. Or who knows, maybe Black Arachnia? And if I were to bet, probably Rat Trap too. But how would her fellow Maximals have died off? Maybe they were protecting the key from another threat. Maybe the Predacons? After all, we do see the Predacon symbol on Scourge, so we know they exist in this continuity. I feel like there's potential for a side story here. Like maybe a comic or something where Airazor's Maximals fight off Megatron and his Predacons. It was funny how they point out that Wheeljack has a Spanish accent, but he doesn't actually speak Spanish because he's an alien robot. It kind of reminded me of how in Cybertron, a lot of the characters just had accents for no reason. But it was also really weird because, yeah, they are alien robots. If they can learn to speak English, why not Spanish as well?
We've learned Earth's languages through the World Wide Web.
Okay, I think it's about time that I address the elephant in the room. Mirage was cool, but I don't think he's as hot as I previously did. Quoting Ace Ventura really killed the riz for me. But I still liked him. He was great in the movie. It was nice having the human best friend robot be able to actually talk. And I hope that if there's a sequel to this movie, he shows up in it, and they don't just dismiss him or say that he died off screen or something. I was a little disappointed that we didn't get more Terracons, or just more time with the Terracons that we already had. Nightbird and Battletrap felt like one-dimensional goons. We learned nothing about them, who they were, or their relationship to Scourge or Unicron. Also, where was Transit? He was in the credits. Please, Paramount, release the Transit cut. Mirage's death, or not death, was really well done. They actually had me there. That was pretty sad. But then he became an exosuit, which was weird. And then Noah rebuilt him with spare parts, which was also weird, but not all that unheard of in Transformers. I mean, if the Seekers can repair themselves with normal airplane parts, why not the Autobots with car parts? And finally, the job interview at the end with Noah. I totally thought this was going to be Sector 7. It had to be. The whole time I was thinking, oh, this is cute. So they're having Noah join Sector 7 so that they can set up stuff in the sequel. Probably turn Sector 7 into more of a Nest-like organization. Maybe tie it back to the Bumblebee movie again. Nope, it was G.I. Joe. Yes, that's right. The Hasbro Cinematic Universe is real. This was actually their S.H.I.E.L.D. moment. This really makes me wonder. I mean, in my previous video, I mentioned how Noah's exosuit, aka Mirage, reminded me of those power suits that they had in the first G.I. Joe movie. And now Noah is working for G.I. Joe? Do you think he was the one that built them? Is that even part of this continuity though? Also, are they going to limit this to just the G.I. Joe and Transformers crossover? Or are they going to bring in other Hasbro brands? Are we going to see Mask return? How about Gem? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. So yes, to reiterate, I think this movie was pretty good overall. It doesn't live up to the Bumblebee movie, but it's still better than most of the Michael Bay films. If I had to give it some arbitrary rating, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. It's not the best, the story could have been tighter, they did a great job portraying the Maximals, but I'm mainly disappointed that a lot of the characters that we were looking forward to seeing on the big screen ended up getting very little screen time, barely any lines, and little to no personality. I mean, Cheetor and Rhinox. We get zero feel for who they are as characters. Is this Cheetor the little kid from season 1 of Beast Wars? Or the wise young leader from Beast Machines? I have no idea. I'd say it's definitely worth seeing, but I have a feeling that this movie will get absolutely destroyed at the box office. What with coming out only a week after Across the Spider-Verse, and then there's Elemental and the Flash movie next week. Okay, maybe don't go see the Flash, apparently Ezra Miller is a big creepo, but still. Sandwiched between so many bigger movies, I don't think this film stands a chance. Which is a shame because I doubt the studio execs will see it that way. They'll just be like, oh, people didn't like Beast Wars, so we're not going to do any more Beast Wars stuff. Anyways, I better end the video here before I make more work for myself. I'm trying to get this out as soon as I can. So, what about you? When are you going to see Rise of the Beasts? And if you've already seen it, what did you think of it? As always, let me know down in the comments. Remember to like, subscribe, and do all that other fun stuff. And I'll see you back here for more Transformers videos in the future.